Welcome back to 4321 Woodworking. I'm Chris, and today we're going to build a table. I got this picture from a friend, and they also brought me this pile of lumber from their farm. So I don't think it'll be enough to do all the table, but it will definitely get us started. So we're going to go ahead and make our version of this and our take on it with what we've got. I have some additional oak, pine, cherry. I'm going to kind of go through and see what I think will work best. So let's start with what we've got in the pile here. Go get that, get it in the shop, and get going. So here we start taking our lumber and putting it to rough size and planing it down and doing all of our milling work on the lumber. At this point in the project, I'm also going to go ahead and cut my pieces of wood down to their width that I need for the project. And now we're going to start doing our final dimensions on it at the miter saw here. Look at all that dust. Let's get that hooked up. Helps a little bit, but man, these miter saws still put off a ton of dust. As you can see here, we're doing some rough frame assembly. Also routing out some edges, sanding some of the wood to get it initially sanded. All processes you're pretty familiar with, so just went ahead and got those done. Just want to point out, this isn't going to match up here exactly perfect on the corner, and that's okay, because we're going to sand that corner round and give it that rustic farmhouse kind of deal at some point here. A lot of the look of this table is with that in mind. So I had two pieces of wood that have been laying around. Sorry. I'll show you. They're over there. I have two pieces of wood and they're over there now. And they were laying around and I thought they were scraps. And one is now stained. They're both painted. What they were was the cross beams for in here. So I will have to do those again. And I'm going to have to remember, I'm going to go measure one and see what they're at and get those cut again. So I'll be back. So those interior pieces, I decided I would use pocket holes since nobody would see them. Quick, simple joinery. Get this all put together and move on to the next steps. Love that angle, tight angle DeWalt piece. Oh, yeah. The nice thing is, even though it's about 40 and raining outside, probably actually I think it's about 37. We've got snow in the forecast here in the next couple of days. I don't think tonight quite yet. I did make this last winter, so we don't have snow right now. Like I said, these little corners that are overhanging, we will hit those later. And now we're doing the bottom the same way to complete the framing of this table. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and give it the final sanding. See me hitting that corner to get it rounded over. Now for the top of the table, I took this 8/4 oak and basically brought it down to 1.5 inches. The thinner pieces I'll use later for the bottom of the table. the thicker piece will become the tabletop. I essentially did this by running it through the table saw multiple times. So as you can see, I'll flip it over, run the other side, raise the blade, keep doing that. Eventually I did cut it, or it actually I think broke off cleanly, but I did do some cutting with a handsaw too, so I do have to plane that out later. You do want to do this technique as careful as possible. Using a featherboard helps and so forth. Here you can see those thin pieces that we cut off are now being cut into small, what I would say are going to be slats for the bottom shelf of the table. On here. And here I'm going ahead and putting on what those slats are going to sit on both ends. Okay. Got one in there. And over on this side, let's pull this one up to the right level. Check our middle, and we're there. Just glue and brads, as these won't be visible anyways. Okay. Couple things with this glue up. I'll just explain it right now while I set it up. I'm going to vary from the design a little bit and just have a slight overhang on the table instead of going to the end of up here on the side. If she doesn't like it, I can make it smaller, but I will probably be planing this a little bit after I get it glued up. But I don't want to mess up these side edges. I'm going to leave them that rough cut, how they are, gray. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to put some boards in here so as to not mess up those sides. As simple as that. We do have to figure out how I'm going to attach this table top because I kind of messed up. By mess up, I mean I didn't put any holes for C-clips or anything in the frame, but we'll fix that right now. And now I've thought about it, it's like, okay, I put this little round over in here because I wanted it to look a certain way. But if I plane it, I'll just plane that round over right off there, so that kind of doesn't make sense. Or, yeah. So I think it does seem to be relatively flat still. This end over here that I have a little bit raised up right here is going to get cut off anyways. So the 36 inches I need looks good. We'll see how it looks tomorrow. What I do think is that I will be able to send it through. I'll be able to send it through the planer on the top here and at least get the bottom back to level, because that is actually where it's not. Because of how I resawed it through the table saw, there's a little bit of a lip, so I think we'll just take off that bottom to get it back to where we want it. This has been a pretty fun build. I think it's because it's a friend of mine, and the wood is off of their farm. And we didn't think we'd have enough to do the whole table, but a lot of it. So she'll find out once it's done that the whole thing was made off of that wood from her farm. It may be its first day as a table, but it's 100 years old, I think. Here we're fixing that and adding places for those Z-clips to connect. Using that to go for this look. So I'm going to go ahead and stain the entire table gray, and then after that I'm going to paint it and then sand it for some distressing, and you'll see all those steps here soon, but that is how we're getting to the look that they wanted on this table. And again, at this point we're planing just the bottom of that tabletop to get it flat again, because the top was already flat and had a round over character piece in it that we wanted to leave alone. So here I am spray painting that white on now. It's kind of an off-white. It doesn't have to go on perfect because, again, we're going to be doing some distressing. You just want to get a good coverage in some areas. And now here's that sanding to take off some of that paint and show the gray back again and some of the wood. So we're just going to go ahead and sand it. I believe I'm using a 120 sandpaper here. So not too aggressive because I don't want to take everything off. I'll just kind of go over areas randomly. As you can see here, there's some nice distressing. You'll see this piece kind of come to as the grain kind of pops out on it as you distress it. And then we're going to go ahead and put a layer of polyurethane and paste wax on it. And the top and those slats were kept with the natural color. Only the frame was distressed. That wax will just help give it another little bit of layer of protection. Here we're just adding some adjustable feet to the bottom of it. This way, if it's on any unlevel surfaces, they can go ahead and level it out. And I'm using a socket to kind of extend in and run that nut into the wood. Let's see how good our... We're going to do that 4 more times. And we'll be done with the bottom, the base. Well, let's get our top cut down to its final measurement. I'm using the DeWalt sander as a flattening sander and then my regular rigid sander to go through the grits and finish sand that. A little mineral oil to clean it up. Back in the shop this morning. It's a bit of a windy morning here in Minnesota, but got my 731 Woodworks tumbler with some coffee, so it's a good morning. I'd say get yours, but you can't. There was only so many, so you already missed it. But you can join the 731 community, and I'll leave a link for that in the description. Go check it out. It's a great community of woodworkers helping each other out. So let's go ahead and get this table finished. Let me show you this, see if you can see what happened on this. I had planned this morning to just go ahead and tip her over and put her on there, but I don't know if you can see it. A lot of little bubbles in this finish. So I am sanding it right now, and I think I'm going to brush on another coat of paste wax or poly. So I don't think we'll be finishing it right away this morning. We did go ahead and fix that up. That's what I thought was going to happen. Time to get these Z-clips in, so we basically position them and then center punch it, leave a little indent there. We'll go ahead and drill that out, as you can see here, using the blue tape trick so we don't drill through our top. And we're going to go ahead and mark all of them, take the base off, drill all of them, and then we'll go ahead and put those Z-clips on. Positioning it won't be too bad because it's pretty much, those were against there and the holes in the middle like that one. Using a screwdriver so as to not over tighten these screws. Missed one. Makes me wonder where'd that screw go. Right there. So this is in the shop. I'll get some pictures of it once we get it there. I actually won't, because I haven't gotten the picture back, but this is what it looked like in my house before I delivered it.